Well, all right. Sowere is not taking it lightly with this Tinubu's administration. I'd like you to watch this exclusive interview. Sowere has released a bombshell. Not again this time. Watch the video. I'll be right back.
Step of it.
Because he was one of the people who even people thought they fought for democracy, never really fought for democracy. They were fighting to get power. And when they didn't get power in 1993, they ran away. And what were they doing when they left the country? He pretended, alongside some others, to be fighting for democracy. But he was actually dealing in drugs, heroin.
And that's an allegation.
It's not an allegation. It's stated in a U.S. District Court official hearing that I was the first to obtain physically on the outskirts of Chicago, where it had been taken after the case was concluded in 1993. It had been taken to the archives. I purchased a copy of that for some $6. I can't forget. So, and then when they came back into power, having engaged in all kinds of dealings with the military that was living. And it was Lagos State governor for 8 solid years. What did they do in Lagos? They decided that they would take whatever belongs to the people of Lagos and convert it to their own private accounts and enterprises. And that's how we came about a tax collection procedure by a company owned by Tinubu, known as Alphabeta. And from there, one of the most vibrant economies in Africa, Lagos' 6th largest economy, was looted. And Lagos today, if it rained, does easily go underwater. If the money was spent being made in Lagos and developing Lagos probably would compete favorably with Amsterdam, or even better. I'm just giving you the background so that you can understand why I said that. So when you now reward such a character with the presidency of Nigeria, what do you expect? And you look at, they're the ones who work with Buhari, kept Buhari for a second term. And you know what Buhari did to this country, and you know what their political party is doing to the country. And you know what they're doing today, ruining democracy, engaging in unbelievable manipulation of the judiciary or the judicial process. They're engaging in some of the worst set of people that can run a country is in power today. It is difficult, I must say, to tell you who is the worst set of people to govern Nigeria, because I've never seen a good one, as to say, but successively, the worst is always the correct. So, and then you take away the rights of Nigerians to freely elect their leaders by manipulating the National Electoral Commission, or the Independent National Electoral Commission. And for those of us who told you that INEC is a political party as opposed to being an electoral commission, you saw what they did. The man who just left less than 3 months ago has been offered an ambassadorship, effectively giving him immunity to answer for his crime or crimes in the 2023 election. So that is how I came about my conclusion that you shouldn't have expected anything better. Yes.
I will still return to the kidnap, but somehow this also aligns with why you seem to be having fresh charges against you, calling the IGP illegal and the president a criminal on social media. Do you regret those statements?
No.
Or do you stand by them?
I was offered the opportunity to recant before they wrote me a letter. They wrote Facebook a letter, wrote Twitter a letter. No, they wrote Twitter first. Twitter brought it to my attention that they want them to take down my position on Twitter. And I said, no, I don't want to. And then they wrote Facebook. And the DSS wrote me directly that they want me to apologize and take down my tweets or post. And I refused. So if I regret it, why would I refuse and opt to go for a criminal charge to deal with that? I'm going to be charged tomorrow for that offense at the Federal High Court officially, alongside Facebook and Twitter. But Twitter is not making any appearance. They refuse to enter an appearance because they know it's a sham. Facebook has entered appearance because Facebook has a way of dealing with all this government. It's all about money. So, and as I've always stated in the past, the social media companies have become your new colonial rulers. Yes, because they pretty much tell you what to say, what you can't say, where to, which angle of your body can be taken and uploaded. And they own everything you upload there. Most people don't read the agreements before they sign up. They own it. They sell your information freely as they want. And Facebook just had an agreement with the Nigerian government to settle out of court. And most Nigerians didn't ask, why did Facebook accept to pay $32 million to the Nigerian government to settle out of court? Because they found out that Facebook breached the privacy of Nigerians online by selling information of their users, over 40 million of them, without their permission. They can't do that in the US, they can't do that in Europe. But They can do that here because we're inferior to them because of the kind of leaders we have. If they were found to have committed the same offense in Europe or the US, you won't be talking about $32 million. You'll be talking about billions of dollars in restitution.
Let's go back to the spate of kidnappings.
Yes.
And the manner in which the people so kidnapped are released, giving room to all kinds of narratives and conspiracy theories. What's your take on it, and how does it?
So you have to understand that what is afflicting Nigeria today is the failure to protect the people of Nigeria. The security agencies have failed in their duties. And that brings me back to the reason why I call the IG illegal. You are illegal is by the general police if you continue to remain in office while you are not a policeman. The primary law that governs policing, or who determines or defines a police officer, is the Police Act. And what the Police Act says that the person who is Inspector General of Police must be a policeman. So, but if you are retired, you cannot be called a policeman anymore. That is why you are not different from the guy who was caught in Lagos, a sergeant who had retired, but went back on the highway wearing it. It was the same IG that announced his arrest and prosecution. But you have retired since September of 2024, as having served the police for 35 years. Every policeman is only allowed to serve for 35 years. That law hasn't changed. So anybody who goes around wearing a police uniform after he's retired is acting illegally. So, but his alibi or excuse is that he was appointed by the president to that position. The president cannot carry out an illegality because he's president. He has to conform with the laws of the land. And it's been made very clear where an act of parliament it contradicts the constitution of the country, the grand norm, the constitution superseded. I must say now that I even don't believe in this 1999 constitution because it was the sons of praise of the Nigerian military when they were leaving power. It wasn't made by Nigerian people. So that in itself is one of our biggest problems. But that's my explanation. So all the security agencies just have no capacity, destroy the capacity to work or do or deliver on their mandates because of corruption, incompetence, and collusion. We're seeing the police and army today failing, the DSS failing. We are not asked about the Nigerian Navy. Do you know that the job of the Nigerian Navy has been contracted out in this country to a private company? Do you know that? The Navy cannot operate in up to 35% of Nigeria waterways. The entire Niger Delta region, the Navy has no power whatsoever to intercept boats, ships, canoes leaving and entering Nigeria waterways or coming to land. It's only in Lagos that they have that capacity or right. In the Niger Delta region, it's privatized. So, you know what I mean now. That is why the presidential spokesperson came and told you that they know the kidnappers. They have their phone numbers. They have a Rolodex of kidnappers. They have Rolodex of bandits. And that's because they're engaging, as a result of their own failure, in what they call non-kinetic engagements, in which they fail to crush where people are found to have violated human rights and have killed unlawfully, which is only states and these agencies are allowed to kill unlawfully or hold somebody. These are crimes against humanity, by the way. But because they have been compromised too much, including in the recruitment process, where you recruit Boko Haram militants that you claim are rehabilitated. And let me shock you that the Nigerian government actually has a rehabilitation center for Boko Haram in Gombe State. And they spend more money on those rehabilitation than they spend on any Nigerian university, federal university. So they have set the ground for what you are saying over time. And they're just playing on your intelligence as citizens by claiming that, we are looking for kidnapped persons. The truth is that today, if someone is kidnapped and you go to the police will warn you not to go and make noise about the kidnapping. Because if you go and start making noise, the kidnappers will call you that the police has told them that you are becoming very stubborn and obstinate, and that they'll come and kidnap you. And they will do that without anybody being able to protect you. A kidnapper can write a letter, or a group of kidnappers, can write a letter to a community that they are coming on so dates to kidnap whomever they find, and nobody can protect you. What does that tell you? It's failure of Nigerian state. Yes, Nigeria is a failed state.
Let me take you back to the IGP and your concept of illegality. The National Assembly also passed an amendment bill which the president has assented to, legalizing his appointments. Where does that leave us?
No, you cannot legalize an appointment of a person retroactively. It was when people started shouting that Akpabio, who is one of the worst Senate presidents in history, decided to pass a law or an amendment to a law, because they realized this before. Within a day, I think they did it in an hour or so. It was just done to try and cover up for the flaws that was seen, because I had started telling him not to even have his new tenure renewed before he retired, after what they did to all these young people during the end bad governance. So I was not even in the country when I started to say, your tenure is coming up, you better not try. Because I knew I heard chatters that they were trying to extend his tenure. So, but as there was a lawmaker, I think his name is Gadi or something, who said he's moved out that, yes. And he came out and said, no, what Sowere is saying is not true. Since I replied him, he has not spoken about it again. Because it comes back to this simple concept that you have to be a policeman. Even for that amendment, you must go and amend the constitution to allow policemen to not be able to retire at 35 years of service or when they reach the age of. For instance, and to make this easy for you, if I'm taken before a federal high court judge tomorrow, and I heard that the guy has retired and they brought him back, I'll tell him, my lord, you can't try me because you are not a judge. It's the same thing I tell him, you can't arrest me because you're not a policeman. When I was arrested over calling him, my constant problem with him, he said he wanted peace during my last arrest, not this last one, and arranged with faculty day and another people that they should bring me to his office as a condition for my bail. And I told him it was a Friday. I said, I would prefer to stay here till Monday. We go to court. Reason? If I go and meet you in your office, I have now legalized your position as the IG. But if you want to meet me privately, we can meet on the street after you have resigned as IGP. But not as IG, not as. I was supposed to have I think it was a 5K or 10K run somewhere in Abuja. He was to come. The moment they told him Sowere is coming, he didn't come because he confided in somebody that he might go there and call me legal IG and I might be forced to beat him up. I told the person, how is he sure he can beat me? But that's just on the lighter side. But that's how passionate I am about things that I stand strongly against.
You've also been in the forefront lately over the issue of Nnamdi Kanu,
yes,
and very vocal at that. What was going through your mind or your reaction when Justice James Omotosho was reading that life imprisonment judgment on November 20th?
Nothing. You know why? Because as of November 5, I had explained in a long tweet on my page and on my social media handles exactly what was going to happen on November 20th. Two things were going to happen in November. They were actually supposed to have jailed Nnamdi Kanu on November 10th. But they realized at the last minute that it was Ken Saro-Wiwa's same day that they killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. Second, the sentence was supposed to be a death sentence. But because they could not get, the support they needed to carry it out, they decided to make it life. Omotosho, as of the time he went for a break to come and read the judgment, was still, what he had in his hand was a judgment for death sentence. If you see the passion with which he was reading the allegations against Nnamdi Kanu, one, the laborious and tedious way he was going, he didn't write the judgment. You can tell. You can tell from his demeanor and his action that this was too much. A lot of mistakes. He couldn't mention his name. He said everything properly. And secondly, when he went back, they have to have another meeting with him. They said, look, I don't think we can carry out the death sentence. And that was why they settled for life. And then they imprisoned him, they settled for life, and took him to Sokoto the next day. The fastest transfer of a prisoner. And it was to send a message to the people on whose behalf he was sentenced to life. Because nobody should deceive you. Nnamdi Kanu's offense has nothing to do with what they read as his charges. Some of those charges are dead. Some of them no longer, some of the laws on that which they do not exist. Like the treason charge. You can't charge somebody for treason after 3 years of committing the offense. So they charge him almost 4 or 5 years after he committed the offense. Some of the charges restated had already been struck out. So It was just what they call trial and error. His offense is that he was asking for the breakup of the real estate called Nigeria. And the owners of Nigeria decided that, oh, you don't do that. That's what is that offense the Christians talk about that is unforgivable in the it's an offense against the Holy Spirit. You know, this is an offense against the holy oil in Nigeria. That was the reason why Ken Saro-Wiwa was when you touch that area, they don't waste time, the owners of Nigeria. Then you've touched their economic life enough. They'll kill you. They kill you immediately.
Have you been able to visit him in Sokoto?
I haven't, but I've had people who have visited that we've been in touch. I've been in touch with him in general, but I've not visited Sokoto yet. But you see what I was telling you when I was planning the protest through Nnamdi Kanu, which I believe also might have led, which I believe was the reason they didn't pronounce the penalty, because that was a lot of attention, and that was why they were upset with me and sent me to Kuje prison for 4 days over that. When we were planning all that, I was calling on all these Eastern governments to speak out. Now they've realized that it's even more burden on them that now become sentenced to death. That's why OT had to fly to Sokoto, maybe on a private jet, to go and visit Nnamdi Kanu. The judge is still going to go there and visit and apologize and confess. It happened to Fela. The judge who sentenced him, when Fela was there, was sent to Maiduguri, Bama prison. The judge drove there from Lagos to go and apologize, wherever he was. The judge is still going to, Tinubu will still visit Nnamdi Kanu in prison. But we told them this was unnecessary. They could have saved themselves embarrassment on November 20th by just charging him of just releasing him unconditionally. Because you could tell, how do you accuse somebody of killing Gulak when you have him in TSS custody? How did he do it? No evidence. The only evidence they have is a radio transmitter and microphone. I was looking for an evidence of, he went to buy a ship of weapons and sent to Nigeria. No, not even a bullet. Just exercise book where he wrote his thoughts, and where a radio transmitter they claim he concealed and brought to Nigeria, and a microphone. That's all.
Why do you think his release is important to Nigeria?
Because Nigeria entered voluntarily into a disease in 1963, and to exit from it and heal itself, you must address the outcome of the Civil War. All of this thing you're saying is the outcome of the 1970 Civil War. And it's part of the reason why you say I'm active on this matter is not political. I didn't fight that in that war when I was active, and I don't want to participate in fighting when it is cold. They're still waging a cold war against the Igbo man in Nigeria. I know it. I don't need to go to school to know that. I don't need to have a PhD in philosophy to know that Nigeria has an Igbo problem. But it would be hypocritical on my side to fight and speak on behalf of Palestinians when Israel is shelling them, and forget to fight on behalf of our local Palestinians in the southeast when Nigerian government is shelling them. That would be hypocrisy on my part.
Sometimes it feels very saddening when you hear some of the things that are going on in the state, and the way these guys respond to it becomes very, very annoying, and you begin to ask yourself questions. At the end of the day, you wouldn't blame them, because it has not really happened to any member of their family. Neither has it happened to their relatives and their loved one. All right, so if you are listening to Sowere very carefully, you know that he's saying everything he's saying relaxed. With confidence, with his full chest. Yes, like he's not even backing out anytime soon. And that is to tell you that if we could have 1 or 2, 3 persons as Sowere, that could be bold enough to speak out and, challenge these persons, like categorically, I tell you that they will begin to respond, to what they are supposed to do. Yes. Look at the should we talk about the insecurity? Look at the judgment of Nnamdi Kanu, for example. You look at the whole thing, you could tell categorically that this is an orchestrated move. Yes, in fact, it's an orchestrated effort to incarcerate him, just to make him handicapped, to just make him to demoralize him, to wow. What are we not saying here? He made mention of the ambassadorial nominees. Yeah, let's look at that nominations. Let's look at those list that was listed out. You could categorically see that this is pure, not by qualification, but basically by, pure a reward. It's like a reward to these guys for probably being loyal or one thing or the other. Because quite many of them does not merit that positions, and you could categorically tell that them too don't have what to give. They don't have anything to offer as regards to this level, because it's just going to be so sentimental. If you listen to what Sowere is pointing out, what he has said here is actually making so much sense. It's nothing but the truth. Yes, it's nothing but the truth. Nnamdi Kanu needs to be released, and then these guys need to come on their toes. They just need to come on their toes and get working. For crying out loud, for how long are we going to continue this in this country? For how long are we going to continue this? Almost every sector is infiltrated. Corruption, and and this the APC, they are not giving room for democracy. You don't have a say. If you are not part of them, you are enemy of them. And you can see the way everybody is defecting to APC. Is there supposed to be? Now there is no more opposition